Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here. We are previewing the East Regional of the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament. So many of these, they run together. Blake's got that look of, what are we doing now? We are
That's
previewing
funny.
the East. That is where Kentucky resides. And it should
I
be an
was
interesting one.
I was gonna say, I told you before we started recording this that I did my annual coin flip bracket, and I won't reveal the entire bracket, but I will reveal some of my picks for the East. Are you ready here? It's not my picks. It's just what the coin did, right?
What did the
The
coin do?
coin, blame the coin here if you're not happy with this. Kentucky did make a valiant run to the Sweet 16 before losing to Virginia Tech. And that is where we got an all ACC Elite Eight with North Carolina beating Virginia Tech in the coin flip bracket. And you know why North Carolina made it that far? Because number 1 seed Baylor knocked off by Norfolk State in the first
Oh,
round via tails. Brutal.
brutal.
Brutal, man. So there you go. There's a lot of upsets in this part of the bracket in the coin flip. So we'll see what that means for the actual game on the floor. My guess is not a whole lot, but yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, we talked about this in the reaction show, I think, shortly after the bracket came out. It seemed like everyone was kind of pointing to this one as the toughest. I understand that to an extent. I said to someone earlier, I don't know if I'd call this the toughest bracket, but I do think I would call it the most unpredictable of the 4 regions because I think there are a lot of different combinations you could get coming out of this.
Oh, there's
Um,
tons. Yeah.
yeah, and I think this, to me, this is the one when I go through the bracket, this is the one to me I think that could have the most variety in terms of not even just second round games, but like Sweet 16, Elite 8. Like I think this one is the one that could very well be, wild, or it could just be Baylor and Kentucky, plowing their way to the Elite 8, and there you go. So
Well, I'm with you. I think the left side of the bracket is tougher to me than the right.
I would agree with that because I think we've talked about the Midwest. I think the Midwest sets up well for the top 2 seeds. South, I think, sets up nicely for the top 3 seeds, and we'll get to those. I don't even have we already done those. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's the left side is there's a lot more variation, I believe. So
Let's start with an SEC focus on this bracket. Let's look at Kentucky, which is the 2 in the East. It faces St. Peter's, a team that I thought could have gotten a seat up beyond that, but didn't. This game starts at 6:10 Central. That is 5:10 Mountain.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point there.
Yes.
Or
Always.
410 Pacific, I believe. So,
Yes, that is correct. This is on CBS on Thursday. And ahead, potentially Murray State in the second round, although San Francisco would be no walk in the park either. Texas or Purdue in that part of the bracket if Kentucky can get that far, which I don't think is a stretch by any means. But let's talk about that little 8-team section of the bracket down there. Certainly not an easy draw. Let's stay with the 4-team region first. Look, on 2s and 15s and 1s and 16s, I don't even really waste any time debating whether an upset could happen. So unless you've got one, let's talk about a potential second-round matchup between Murray State, which I'm sure has been dreaming for this opportunity for a long time,
yeah.
or San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I think in your brain, if you have nothing against San Francisco, but like you're rooting for a Murray State versus Kentucky just for
Completely.
the storyline. It would be a lot of fun to think about. And again, I'm sure John Calipari probably not thrilled with getting a 30-2 team. What it feels like, what was it the year that they got Wichita State? Much different, but it's kind of that thing where you look up and you're like, well, there's a 30-2 team right there waiting on us. So yeah, I mean, listen, I in that scenario, I'm probably not going to pick Murray State to beat Kentucky, but if that is the matchup you get, I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, that's they've lost 2 games this season, and that was at Auburn, which everyone lost at Auburn this season. And then on a neutral court, the East Tennessee State on November 22nd, they beat everybody else. They won at Memphis, good win over Chattanooga.
Destroyed Belmont.
Destroyed Belmont by 33. And yes, beyond that, is there anything that's going to jump out at you? No. But I don't like to. I wouldn't want to mess with a team that's 30-2 because that's a team that's as confident as it gets and has not lost this calendar year. So that's why I said I think that's you don't love that if you're Kentucky getting that just a team that has that sort of you know what I mean just a team that has those intangibles of a team that has all the confidence in the world, all this momentum, um, and really is. I mean, they're playing their best basketball of the season right now. So yeah, it's it's not a thrilling matchup by any. I mean, it's thrilling from a TV standpoint, but probably not thrilling from a Kentucky being a number 2 seed and here you go standpoint.
Well, let's look at the other foursome in that group. You got Texas under Chris Beard, which can defend, and we know about Chris Beard in the tournament. It's been outstanding. You got Virginia Tech, which got hot. The computers have loved Virginia Tech for a while. Virginia Tech can hit threes with the best of any of them, which always scares me to death if I'm an opposing coach. Tech just took down Duke by 15 points in the ACC championship. You got Purdue with the National Player of the Year type player and Ivy. Yale is a team that a lot of times is a Cinderella pick potentially, but I just don't think James Jones's team this year is as good as some of the ones he's had. And I mean, I look at the top of that bracket, man. There are 3 teams that scare me. Purdue is a team a lot of people think can win the whole thing. Again, Texas is not a team people are talking about, but Chris Beard has been so good at getting his teams prepped for the tournament, and Texas has a lot of talent. I don't know, man. That's a tough match for somebody coming out of that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm with you. It could be three of those teams I think could come out of there. Texas and Virginia Tech, that's one of those really good first round matchups. I think that, for all the talk about the ACC and everything, that's still a good matchup. And I mean, Texas, I think has been a team that I'm trying to think of kind of how the last couple weeks have played out. I mean, we talked about it last time. We talked to live selection show maybe. They've lost 3 in a row. But it's like, yeah, those were all close games to Baylor, Kansas, and TCU. Nothing to be that upset about. So I think Texas is a team. Just Chris Beard has success in this tournament, doesn't he? I mean, we kind of know that at this point. He knows his way around the NCAA tournament. So that's a really fun first round matchup. I think Purdue, like you said, very talented, very good team, but that's a tough draw for them. I think no matter who they play in the second round there. So yeah, maybe that's why I think this is the most unpredictable region, because this bottom 8 right here, I'm looking and let me see. I guess, I'm trying to compare it to like all the other, like if you just group it by 8 in these regions, I think this may be the toughest 8.
Well, let me give you something that's a little scary, okay?
Maybe this is the toughest bracket.
Well, because one thing you hear a lot when you hear about who's going to win it all, what does the profile look like? One of the things that you hear mentioned is preseason AP poll. The thinking there is we have a pretty good idea who the teams are in terms of elite talent, and sometimes a team's performance will wax and wane during the season, but at the end of the day, the tournament is usually about talent. Okay, here's some preseason rankings of teams on that side. Texas 5, Purdue 7, Kentucky 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not bad.
Along with a 30-2 team that went unranked. Again, a Virginia Tech team that just destroyed Duke. I mean, I don't know that there's a tougher 8-team portion of the bracket than the one that Kentucky is in.
Yeah, so maybe that's why a lot of people are viewing it as the toughest. So I can see that. I mean, I think the top part, to me, I think the top part's pretty clear in terms of Baylor, UCLA. I don't think there's really any. I don't think I'd change my tune on that.
Let's get to the top part in a second. We want to get into word from our sponsor.
I'm just comparing it. Right.
Yeah. Predict sports and win free NFTs if you'd like to talk trash during games. Making predictions and flexing your knowledge to your friends and followers and come play stakes. That's STAKES, We're making sports betting more casual, social, and accessible for all sports fans so you can experience the thrill of sports betting without needing to worry about losing your hard-earned money. Play by yourself or with friends, the choice is yours. How does it work? Simple. 1, make predictions about sports, wager on other users' questions, or create your own. 2, compete with friends, connect with fellow fans, and trash talk your rivals. 3, guess right and win exclusive NFTs for no cost. Literally no downside to stakes. You can have a lot of fun with it, no cost, ever. Sign up, use our code Southeastern14. Join the thousands of other sports fans playing with stakes. And by the way, we'll be creating some questions in there. So be sure to follow our account in that and bet on the questions we create when we come up from air between coaching news.
Yes.
And doing a research on brackets. But let's go to the top half. You got Baylor as the top-seeded team there, taking on Norfolk State. You got an intriguing game between North Carolina and Marquette. I'm still not sure how I feel about the Tar Heels, although they rebound the heck out of the ball, which is one thing Marquette does not do. So that could be your clue who comes out of that one. You've got Wyoming and Indiana winner. That's going to be on what? Is that Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wyoming, Indiana, I think is Tuesday.
Okay, so you got that one. That's a toss-up in my mind. You've got the winner of that playing St. Mary's, which people have mixed feelings. I've even seen St. Mary's in some Elite Eights and Final Fours. I just don't know that I trust the WCC outside of Gonzaga, and I've got some doubts about Gonzaga too. And then you've got UCLA, as you said, is dangerous. Speaking of preseason, UCLA preseason number 2. So you've got in this bracket, you've got the defending national champion, the preseason number 2, 5, 7, and 10 teams. It's loaded. I mean, it really is. No, Baylor's going to be the popular pick, but are we worried about Baylor's health? Because I think maybe we should be.
I think Baylor will be the popular pick. I think that it's going to be a team out of the bottom, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know what team that's going to be. So,
but I mean, but you got UCLA sitting there too.
Right. Yeah.
All kinds of talent. You got the UK storyline with Johnny Juzang. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. I think it's probably like who would you like? You think it's going to be Baylor, UCLA, or Kentucky, Purdue? Because with all the volatility, I think that's still to me the most likely setup for the Sweet 16 is the top 4. Even though I think there's a lot of room for wild and crazy things.
What this means is Texas wins that bracket now that we've said it.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, right? But I mean, that's something too. I mean, they're a 6 seed, but yet, like you're saying. So, look, I maybe I should just retract my statement and say this very well could be if we're basing it off what the expectations were for a lot of these teams. Now, we know some of them underachieve, but still, I mean, these are, that's a good group of teams there. So, I think Baylor, I mean, they were here last year from what I remember. They did pretty well in this tournament. So I think that they'll be able to use some of that, but
like I said, it's not. I don't know that it's the same Baylor team, Blake, because of the injuries.
Well, no, it's not.
And you saw them bow out early in the conference tournament. Did they bow out in the first game? I believe they did. They did.
But I think that's overrated sometimes. They lost to Oklahoma, who's, I get it, but
wasn't the thing though? I think a team that lost its first conference tournament game hasn't won since, what was it, 85, which would have been Villanova.
Yeah, but I mean, let's think about this, though. Prior to that, they had beaten Texas at home. They had beaten Kansas at home by 10. They had won at Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, this is still a team, like you said. I understand that part, but I just don't. I don't have a lot of concerns about Baylor. Like I said, they don't win this region, but I think they're set up pretty well to get to the Elite Eight. I'll say that.
I've got a closing thought for you there in just a minute. But first, March is here. The madness has officially begun. It's time for you to shoot your shot And score big on the nonstop action with MyBookie. Predict winners in each round of the MyBookie bracket contest for a chance to win a Bitcoin, a Doodle NFT, currently valued at over $50,000 and over $100,000 more in cash prizes. Whether you're filling out multiple brackets, betting the national championship winner, or simply looking for player and game props, MyBookie has you covered. Sign up today with MyBookie. Use the promo code Southeastern to make your first deposit, earning a free entry into the My Bracket contest. So that's two things we're giving you that are free. Use our promo code for both. Selection officially begins March 13th, closes the 17th at noon. So get your entry again. The promo code Southeastern. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
By the way, we're giving them more than just two because we're giving them our knowledge for free as well. So
that's true.
There's no value you can place on that, right? So,
and if you don't like our knowledge, use the coin flip.
And it's still free, right? The coin flip, I should have implemented the coin flip in our West preview, but for anyone who's watching in the West, the coin flip, honor system, folks. Honor system. Had Alabama and Arkansas in the Elite Eight.
Maybe we're not the kings of fun, we're the kings of free.
I promise you, coin flip, put Alabama and Arkansas in there. No bias, unless this coin. Look, it just meant more to this coin. There's no other way to put it. Like, this coin was on a mission. It means more to this coin than anyone else. So
I think you let the ACC flip the coin in this bracket, which maybe that's how they pick seeding for ACC teams too, since they were all seeded one line too high.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'll
look out.
I'll end it there.
All right, so what do we wrap up with the East? What are, I mean, like I said, I think Kentucky's in a nice spot. I just, as I mentioned, I'm not saying they're going to lose to Murray State. I just think, you are playing a 30-win team in the second round, perhaps, and maybe this is all for naught. San Francisco's a good team. Let's not sleep on San Francisco here. That's a good team, and there's a reason why Todd Golden's being mentioned for a lot of head coaching jobs, potentially in the SEC. So that's going to be a great first-round matchup. It really will. Like, there are several of those: Texas, Virginia Tech, Murray State, San Francisco. What if Johnny Juzang does his thing with UCLA? What if they make another run? So there's a lot of interesting storylines in the East. And let's be honest, the storyline for Kentucky, and we will break down Kentucky when we do our predictions for the individual games like we've done all year long. Kentucky's got to shoot the ball better. There's no way around it. They got to shoot the ball better. Their half-court offense has to be better. And they just need more consistency from the perimeter. And if they don't get that, it opens up a lot of possibilities. But if they do get that, I still think Kentucky, if they're knocking down shots from outside, they're the favorite to get out of this bracket, in my opinion. But
okay, I'm going to give you two takeaways from this bracket, and I'm going to get your reaction to these. I'm going to call the East the bracket with everything. Because what would you want in a bracket, in a region? Okay, here's a start. You got the defending national champion. Pretty good start, which also is a 1 seed, so meaning it's got a chance to win it again. You've got a bunch of teams that can win the national title. You got Baylor, you got UCLA, you got Purdue, you got Kentucky at a minimum. You got brand names. We haven't even mentioned Indiana or North Carolina, in addition to obviously the other teams we've mentioned. You've got a play-in game, a good one with Wyoming and Indiana. You've got underdogs. Virginia Tech is one of the more popular underdog picks. Murray State and San Francisco are both two kind of semi-popular underdog picks matched against each other, no less. Murray State would be a team I think you'd see people putting in the Elite Eight in a lot of brackets, if not for Kentucky. And maybe people will do that anyway. I mean, you tell me.
How does Kentucky feel about that, right?
And even if you want to just go really off the beaten path, you got Norfolk State there as a 16 that pulled one of the biggest upsets in tournament history as a 15.
Chris, we've had a Missouri
I know
fan
Missouri fans are going to love us for that.
No,
but
he's one of them's already weighed in the comments, calling you out.
I saw it. I know. I felt a little bad.
Really apologize. I apologize for Chris's actions here. So
I don't even know what to say. But seriously, what more could you want out of a region than the East?
No, it's very intriguing, and that's why I think it could be the most unpredictable because there's so many storylines you could point to, and you know, eh, as I've said all year long, I still think Kentucky's good enough to win this thing. I know we look at this and how they played recently and some of the shooting, the half court offense, the stuff that everyone's brought up. There's a reason for it. So it's just, can they turn it on? Because guess what? When they turn it on, we've seen they're they have the claim to be the best team in the country when they turn it on. But
The only thing this bracket lacks is that really glittery 13 seed. Akron by far, I thought, the weakest of the 13s. But I mean, this region deserved a break somewhere.
I mean, I could see one of those. I could see the winner of the play-in though, winning two. I could see Wyoming or Indiana winning two and perhaps pulling off
Yeah,
a double-digit run. I could see
no
that.
doubt,
I mean,
no
we talked
doubt.
about Virginia Tech. I mean, that's a possibility. Although I think a Purdue game would be tough, but um, that's an interesting one. I'm glad Wyoming got in. I'll say that. They're a team I think that deserved to get in, and I know we had our you know problems with A&M not getting in, but I think Wyoming deserved to get in. So
You know how I
yeah,
feel about Wyoming.
I know, but I'm just I think that that's one of those teams that I can understand the argument sometimes for those kind of teams because there are not people running to the door to try to play them in the non-conference. So I get it, but
No, I
we'll
mean,
see.
I have a nephew who played football there, so I'm not going to root against
Oh,
Wyoming.
that's right. I don't know. I kept thinking that was somewhere else. You're right. Wyoming.
Underneath this, actually, I've got a Colorado State basketball shirt on. You ask me why would I have
Well,
that?
wow, Steak. Wow. Steak, he's already calling his shot for the second round game against Tennessee. Can you believe this? Chris,
What's
my
Steak done?
goodness. No, you're wearing a Colorado State shirt. They played
Oh,
Tennessee in the second round.
oh, yeah. Well,
Oh, Chris, what have you
I
done?
stepped in it. Well, my niece played basketball there.
So it's allowed, folks. He can do that.
Yeah, right.
There's no bias.
Not
Steak.
saying
It's
I'm
okay,
rooting
Steak.
for Colorado State. I'm pro
It's
my
okay, Steak.
relatives. So
Steak, I'd like you to weigh in on that potential second round matchup. When we get the South, if Chris is wearing this Colorado State shirt, I don't care who played there in his family. Steak, you have all the ammunition you need to call him out in the comments.
well, I'll just give you a hint. I'm not picking Colorado State to beat Tennessee. I'm just going to
Yeah.
call that shot
Spoiler
now.
alert. Me
Spoiler
either.
alert.
So
Just in case.
yeah.
Other thought, and I said before the SEC tournament, or maybe during, Kentucky to me was looking like a national title contender. I don't think I've really changed my mind, but I have a problem with that now, and it has nothing to do with Kentucky, and it would have nothing to do with Baylor or anybody that I might pick coming out of this bracket. It's that sometimes when you're picking your bracket and you're picking your Final Four, you're going, well, I've picked it this far, but like, is there some way this could go wrong? That's kind of obvious. And I think that's the issue I would have. And I'm not saying I wouldn't pick a team out of the East to win the bracket. In fact, I might very well, or to win the whole thing. But the problem is you look back and you go, you could see 2 or 3 spots for any of these teams that could get picked off, and it's not a stretch. And so the risk of taking a team out of the East to win the whole thing is, say, weighed against maybe some people said Arizona's got the easiest bracket in the South.
Yeah.
Anybody in the East is running a risk of being picked off because you're just going to have a brutal matchup almost at every turn.
So it comes full circle. This is the hardest bracket in the tournament.
I don't
There you
think
go.
there's any doubt. And I
Okay.
think the
Well, yeah, that's
West.
good that we went into it because I think that is all the data you need there. Like I said, I just looking at them. Again, I think this. You could certainly look at the others. I think we talked about. I think the West is interesting, but I think because Duke's in there, people won't say that's the toughest, just because I mean it's just what people think of Duke right now. But um, yeah, so I get that. And yeah, I mean, look, I think it's now we can make it say it has the claim for the most unpredictable and the most difficult. So
Yeah.
there's your bracket to watch right there.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll have previews of the South and the Midwest coming up too. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you again soon.